Genghis Khan, founder of the largest land empire in history, stretching from the Pacific to Vienna. Statues are erected in his honor, and his military genius is celebrated. But the real story is quite different. What if I told you that the real reason for this conquest wasn't horses and arrows? What if I told you that behind it all was cold mathematics, a calculated system of terror and disturbing practices? Today, we will examine 5 documented practices from Genghis Khan's court. These are facts compiled from the secret history of the Mongols, the chronicles of the Persian historian Rashid al-Din, and the accounts of travelers such as John of Plano Carpini. And in the end, you will see that traces of this story are still hidden in the DNA of 16 million people today. Chapter 1. Mass marriage, the most effective way to destroy a people. 1202. The young Temujin, not yet Genghis Khan, is fighting his final battle against his old enemies, the Tatars. The Tatars had poisoned his father years earlier. This was not just a war, it was revenge. The order he gave upon victory is terrifying and chilling even today. Kill every Tatar man as tall as the axle of a cartwheel. That's about 90 centimeters, meaning every male child over the age of 3 or 4. But the women, they were not killed. Quite the opposite. They were seen as a resource. Temujin took 2 Tatar aristocrat sisters, Yasugin and Yasui, into his own home. When he defeated the Merkit tribe, he took the enemy chief's wife and gave her to his son, Ogadei. This woman would later rule the entire Mongol Empire. The most striking example is the Kurayid princess Sorgaktani. She was taken as war booty and married to his youngest son, Tolui. The 4 sons born to her, Munka, Kubilai, Hulagu, and Arikboka, ruled from China to Iran. A whole dynasty was born from a single piece of war booty. The formula was simple: kill the men, take the women, steal the future. Chapter 2. The Law, the Code written in blood. 1. Temujin was now proclaimed Genghis Khan, and with the new empire came a secret system of laws. The law. The law was not public. Only the Khan and his princes knew it, but the punishments were shown to everyone: adultery, death, no matter your rank. A Mongol man could have as many wives as he wanted, but approaching another man's wife? Death. Why so harsh? Because a fight over a woman could scatter the army. A soldier preoccupied with a relationship was a soldier unable to focus on battle. But it wasn't just sexual relations. Horse theft, espionage, desertion, all were grounds for execution, even these crimes. Urinating in the river, washing in running water, not picking up something a friend dropped while marching. Capricious, number, extremely practical. Dirty water destroys an army faster than any enemy. A messy camp means disease. An undisciplined soldier is a burden. What the law created was this: a military state held together by fear and discipline, always ready, always mobile. If these facts surprise you too, let's meet in the comments. Chapter 3. The 4 Great Ordos, not palaces, but centers of power. Genghis Khan's power lay not only in his army, it lay in his family. At the top of the imperial family were his 4 main wives. Each one was a huge power center. The first was Berta, his childhood sweetheart. The other 3 were from his conquest: Kulan, taken from a defeated king, and 2 Tatar sisters. Each of these 4 women ruled her own order. What is an ordo? A palace? Number. Much more than that. They were mobile headquarters where thousands of people lived. Their own lands, their own herds, tens of thousands of horses, sheep, camels. They were self-sufficient economies. By the end of Genghis Khan's life, there were about 500 women in his personal households. A strict hierarchy: primary wives, lower-ranking wives, hundreds of concubines. And who managed this system? Eunuchs brought back from conquests, the most educated officials from China and Persia. The women themselves were not idols. They were key political advisors. They controlled vast networks, and most importantly, they were the mothers of the next generation of rulers. The system was not about sentimentality, it was about production. Chapter 4. The Plunder of Nations, the Price of Terror. 1. The Khwarezm Empire, rich, advanced, powerful. A Mongol caravan was captured in a border town, its members killed. Genghis Khan sent envoys. The Khwarezm Shah executed one of the envoys and shaved the beards of the others. The ultimate insult. Genghis Khan's response was not just war, it was apocalypse. And his most terrifying weapon, organized, systematic sexual violence. Persian historians Juwayni and Ibn Asir wrote the same thing. When a city fell, this pattern was repeated. 1. All the people were driven outside the walls. 2. The artisans were separated. They were valuable and sent to Mongolia. 3. Young women and children were separated. They were distributed among the soldiers. 4. Those left behind, the elderly, men deemed useless, women. Then came the massacre, but first, mass rape in front of families. This was not chaos, it was calculated terror. In the city of Nishapur, Genghis Khan's son-in-law died. Do you know what his widow wanted? Let no living thing remain, including cats and dogs. Juwayni wrote, skulls were piled up in pyramids. 1,747,000 dead. The number may be exaggerated, but the message was clear. See our banners, surrender, otherwise nothing will remain. Chapter 5. Inheriting the father's legacy. Now for the most shocking part. When Genghis Khan died in 1227, his son Ogedei took over the empire. The armies, the treasures, and his father's young wives. Yes, you heard that right. It was called levirate marriage in an ancient tradition, but the Mongols took it to an imperial scale. Franciscan friar John of Plano Carpini visited the Mongol court in the 1240s and reported back to Europe in horror. Every man can take as many wives as he wishes, and when his father died, he would take all his father's wives except his own mother. The real mother was an absolute taboo, but stepmothers, they were inheritance, assets, wealth. Why? Because a high-ranking woman came with her own retinue, her herds, her political connections. Levirate marriage prevented this wealth from leaving the family. From Genghis Khan to Ogedei, from Ogedei to Guyuk. Hulagu established the same system when he conquered the Persians. A closed loop, a system designed to prevent any power from leaking out. These 5 practices were not separate, horrific truths. They were parts of a single, ruthless machine. The law created a disciplined army. This army won wars. These wars led to the capture of hundreds of thousands of women. These women were used in mass marriages to destroy populations. Armies were formed, heirs were raised. Sons inherited their father's women. The cycle was complete, a self-sustaining machine of conquest. The Mongol Empire collapsed. The law was forgotten. The armies disappeared. But one thing remained. The year 2003. Geneticist Chris Tyler Smith's team made a discovery. A unique Y chromosome repeated throughout Asia. An unchanging genetic signature passed from father to son. Who carries this signature? About 8% of men in the former Mongol lands. About 0.5% of the world's male population. That's 16 million men alive today. All descended from one man. A man who lived in Mongolia 1,000 years ago. Science cannot say for sure who he was. DNA cannot give historical names. But the data is clear. There was only one candidate in that place at that time who could have left such a large genetic legacy. The evidence points directly to Genghis Khan and his sons. Chronicles recorded the conquest. Palaces turned to dust. But the lineage carried in the DNA of 16 million men. The last entry in Genghis Khan's ledger. An empire not just of lands but of genes. The final and most enduring conquest. If this story made you think, don't forget to subscribe and tell us in the comments. Did you know these facts? Which city are you watching from?